And now welcome to the Bobcats Coaches Show on Super Talk 1270. Bismarck Bobcats are going on the road this week, taking on the North Iowa Bulls. 2 games on Friday and Saturday as North Iowa becomes the 5th and final team in the Central Division for the Bobcats and their fans to get to meet. Bismarck coming to Mason City on Friday and Saturday night. Only one more home game in the month of November. It's a Wednesday game a week from tonight. Wednesday, 7:15, same time as usual. Bobcats are hosting Minot in what's going to be a 3-4 over Thanksgiving. Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, Bobcats are hosting a home game against Minot that day. Tickets are on sale now at BismarckBobcats.com. So no weekend games next week. Those are on the road. Only home game next week is a Wednesday game at 7:15 versus Minot. Layne Sedevie joining us, Bobcat head coach. How are you?
Good, Corey. How are you?
Doing all right. It just seems like, and this is going to be painfully obvious to everyone we talk to, but this week is one of the more tougher weeks that we've been a part of in the last couple of years. Friday was really good. 3-2 overtime win versus St. Cloud on home ice last week. Erik Atchison, who we'll hear from on the Coaches Show in a matter of minutes, scored the overtime winner. A Bobcats' best effort in the entire month, maybe a month and a half. Up and down, deserved the 2 points, deserved a 3-2 win. Saturday gets flipped on its head, 7-2 loss to St. Cloud. There's always one of those clunkers every year. There were quite a few last year, but this one just seemed different in that it wasn't a much better offense, a much better team winning by 5. It was the game plan of St. Cloud taking the Bobcats to task and really erasing some of the progress in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Friday was pretty solid effort. Probably one of the better efforts we've had in probably quite some time. I think probably the disappointing part is not showing up, on Saturday and not putting back-to-back efforts, and that's something that this team's going to have to learn how to do. I mean, if they're going to have success, that's something that they're going to have to figure out. You win 2 in a row, and you start to feel good about yourself, and next thing you know, you get punched in the mouth again. So the real test for me is to see what this group does after Saturday night's loss. There's always ups, there's always downs, there's always opportunities to bounce back, and that's what we have here this weekend.
I mean, the way things have been this week, it's hard to be upbeat, and we don't know what's said in the locker room, but just with how frustrated the guys obviously are on the ice for practice every day this week, it's as if they've lost 5, 6, 7 games in a row in beat-down fashion, but they've won 2 out of 3. But the loss on Saturday, certainly takes away a lot of the progress of winning 2 games in a row and just seems a lot worse than hopefully it is just 1 game in 60.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should just fuel their fire, really. There's nothing you can do about it. You move on, and it obviously, to me, it's got to put that motivation back on the other side, and not let it happen again. And it doesn't get any easier. We don't get to play in front of our fans and sleep in our own beds, and we've got to go on the road now and find a way to keep things going. Like I said, you win 2 in a row, you start feeling good, got things back on track, and have a hiccup. Let's see how fast this group can learn from it and move on.
What did you like about Friday?
I just thought we worked for 60 minutes. I mean, I thought we were the better team. I thought we outchanced them. Yes, do we have, some issues and have some breakdowns? Sure, but I thought we had the saves when we needed them, and I just didn't feel that same urgency on Saturday, and I just felt like we didn't have our feet. We didn't win races. We didn't finish checks. Didn't have the same feel that we had on Friday night.
And conversely, it seemed as if, and you would know more than I do, but just watching the game back, St. Cloud came out with a game plan. Corey Millen probably told his guys, we're finishing every check. Body comes first, separate man from puck, make the Bobcats move it around, pressure below the goal line, be more aggressive than they already are, and that would mitigate a mismatch with offensive finesse and scoring prowess that fans have come to see of the Bobcats' offense, and ultimately it results in a big St. Cloud win and a hole being completely just blown open by St. Cloud against you guys on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to be able to, you have to be able to work, and I don't think anything they did was anything other than every night they play. I mean, they pressure, and I just don't think we had an answer. We weren't there, and to me, that's probably the more frustrating part from a coaching staff. Um, you always expect the road team to be better on Saturday. That's just the way it is. They travel the day of on Friday. Got to take advantage of that. All those little things you can look at and think of. But again, to me, it's just we find a way to make it 2-2 and get back in the hockey game. And we hadn't played well even in the first period. But then to me, our minds weren't in it. I pull Patty's line off the draw because they miss assignment. I put the next line out and they miss the exact same assignment, and it ends up in the back of the net. I mean, that's just the way, mentally and physically that they. I just didn't feel like we were involved with the game. We weren't sharp on details. Just a flip of Friday night where I thought we were engaged. We finished checks. We worked. And Saturday night there was just the mental side of it and the physical side of it. I don't think we were in check.
Thankfully, it's something you can control with your guys. being out hit the way you guys were and out chanced on Saturday. How fixable is it?
Well, we'll find out Friday. That's the big. Like I said, there's always ups, there's always downs, there's always a chance to prove yourself. And hopefully that's. I said it after Saturday night. It's going to come down to guys in that room. A lot of guys have been through this, but we need some leadership out of this group. We need those guys to step up. I can't sit there. Hunter can't sit there and hold their hand, make sure they're ready to go when the puck drops at 7:15. That's for those guys in that room. And I addressed that Saturday night in St. Cloud. I said, everybody's different. I don't care how you get ready, how you prepare, but as a group when that puck drops at 7:15, you guys got to be ready to go. And that's something that I feel like we've just had issues with consistency and having those back-to-back efforts.
Can you even compare last year and the growth to this year and where they're at right now?
Well, last year we weren't in any games. It's probably going to sound bad, but I didn't after a bit there, we didn't really expect to win games. With this group, I think it's we've been in games. We've played well. We've played bad. I think it's just one of those things where we need to see where this group is going to figure it out, and when they're going to really take some steps. I think that's, we've gotten a lot better since the showcase. Felt like we took a couple steps back after our break off. To me, it's one of those things. We'll see how good this team is, and they always say good teams don't lose back-to-back games, and to me, that's the challenge to this team. If we can do that, I think we can go on a nice little run here and get some consistency out of this group, because that's the big part. Saturday stinks. It is what it is. You move on. You don't let it happen again in your building. But we got to go on the road now. We got to find a way to get 4 points.
Is it possible this team could play mad?
Well, I mean, at some point, they're going to have that at least the work ethic instilled in them. I can tell you this, Corey. I don't think it was very fun for the guys last year. It just took us a while where we could get to where we needed to go, and that might be the case with this group too. But at some point, you got to be fed up with being inconsistent and not being. To me, it's just holding guys to higher standards. I mean, you wear a letter in this organization. I think it's a great honor. I think it's it hasn't been whatever second longest stand, but that's a privilege to put that on, and that's to me something that I tell the guys when I give them the letters. It's to me it goes back to the history of the program. You're one of very few, and I know we've been around for 25, 26 years, but that is an honor, and that's something that it carries different values, our core beliefs, what this program is about, and to me that's a little bit time to challenge that group in that locker room and make sure that we're getting the effort that we need on a nightly basis. Because at the end of the day, if you run up against a good goaltender or something like that, it's hey, we outchance and we execute our systems. You can live with that. I mean, that's the probably silver lining in coaching. As I know we have a good group of kids. It's a very nice group to coach, and I think that was the silver lining in last year too. Is the group of kids that we had, and they wanted to keep coming to the rink, and we weren't winning games. They keep wanting to get better. But I think that's where we need to see this group mature and we have some, we have some veteran guys that played, quite a few games, but we're also very young too. And to me, it's just bringing that group along, and hopefully those leaders and captains and the fine details, the little stuff. You go on the road and all the stuff you think about as a coach, and Thursday's a day of travel. You have fun with the boys, all that sort of stuff. You excuse me, your mood's loose. I understand that, but come Friday, it's game time, and I just don't think that's something that this group has figured out. I mean, we were very loose on Friday going to St. Cloud. Guys were laughing. Guys were having a good time. We played like crap, and that's something that obviously, I like to let our guys figure out, and sometimes it's the hard way, but I think there's just little things like that, making sure everything's done right in our team stretch, and I don't always expect every player to do the same stuff 100% of the time, because players are very unique and they're very different, and they get ready in a certain way, and I understand that from being a goalie and being weird or whatever you want to call us, but our captain's got to do a job in that locker room to make sure that when it's all said and done and they're going out underneath that tunnel, that as a group we're ready to go.
So do you point those things out to them, or just let them figure it out on their own?
No, I do, and I think it's it's been wearing on me about the one in St. Cloud, and I get it. But on day of a game, we're going down there for a job, and our job is to get 2 points. And if we're gonna have fun and laugh and goof off on the bus, we got a 5.5 hour ride to get off the bus. It's hard to flip that switch, and I think that's the focus and the mental side that I would like to see this group take some steps.
So a misconception about coaching that I know you mentioned this in passing, but not on the air, is that the practices that we have this week at the VFW that obviously are more difficult. You said the guys are going to have to work more, and they've certainly been working in practice. It's not been easy on them. The misconception is what?
They got a nice break.
A nice break.
Yeah, because I know if I wouldn't have had strep, it would have been Corey. You'd have seen something you wouldn't want to seen, and
there is that.
But so I know Laz is, I told Laz, I said, you can't be their friend this week, and that's part of understanding that as an assistant coach, it's easy to be the so-called good cop, and I don't know, maybe karma got the best of me, and we'll see how they respond. But that was their warning, and to me, they got off pretty easy because it's one of those things where I don't want to say you mess with the bull, you get the horn, but I don't like getting embarrassed in front of our own fans and in our building. If you're on the road, that's fine, but it stings a little more at home, and I just hope those guys understand that. I know that's something I'm going to address with them tomorrow when I'm able to address the group. But the big kicker to me is, can we rebound? Can we get back on track here?
Talking with Layne Sedevie, Bobcats head coach. The misconception was that coaches like those practices. Coaches don't like those practices because it often means that the team's not doing so well.
Well, and it's a waste of, it's to me, it's, I don't know, used to probably do it more than I do now. I like to incorporate the skating into, probably smaller doses. I don't like it, but I think the guys need to be reminded that, why you're putting that jersey on, the opportunity that you have, what that crest is about, and forget the last name, because those are the skates and those are the memories that, to me, build character. Again, I don't like doing it. You waste a day probably, but sometimes it's the right thing to do to get guys back on track.
Yeah, you mentioned the home fans, the fact that we've had 3 sellouts in 9 home games this year. 3 sellouts before Thanksgiving doesn't happen every single year. There's been so much excitement.
I don't think it's ever happened since I've been here.
Probably not, and you've been here for a long time. It's so much excitement around this team, especially after 2 feet of snow. I mean, my side street was still not plowed the entire way on Saturday, and I know yours probably wasn't either, and we still sold out the crowd on Saturday night. That all said, though, the Friday win, overtime, stands were about 3/4 full. Still an invested crowd, but not full. And the win in St. Cloud was in St. Cloud. There's about 8 people in the building there anyway. So the one game that the fans really show up in droves to see is the one that you'd rather not want them to see. And overall, that has to certainly affect you more as a coach and as a Bismarck guy.
I mean, I think if anything, it's part of the, there's a lot of a lot of crowds last year that I guarantee you were disappointed. But I tell you what, I don't know if I've ever seen this town behind a group of guys. Even the year we won it, as much as last year, and I think that's being understand that being a fan. Um, I think you can be supportive and want to come watch the group, and there's going to be nights where you have bad nights. That's just the reality of it. The 60 games. I mean, these kids are 16 to 20 years old, but I think it makes it that much better when you get to where you want to go at the end of the year. And I think that was probably the proof in the pudding. Last year I guarantee you there was a lot of people that walked out of that building on numerous occasions saying these kids, I don't know, they're not going to get it, they're not going to do it, they're not any good. Everybody's got the answers, Corey, when they come to the rink and question what I do or what anybody does. But at the end of the day, we're trying to do our best job, and I think doing this over time, you realize you have bad nights, and that's, to me, it can go one of two ways. You can have a bad night next Friday, or you can have growth of the group and maturity and step up and say, all right, that was unacceptable. We're going to do whatever we can, make sure our effort's good, and wherever the the win or the loss falls at the end of the night, that's fine. But we're going to control what we can control and what our coach and what this program is about.
And overall, this team has won 2 out of 3 games. If you were only here for last Saturday, that's an outlier. This team has won 2 out of 3. And potentially, if the Bobcats go to North Iowa and take care of business, we're coming home on Wednesday having won 4 out of 5. So it's not exactly a lost year either. This team still has a lot of room to improve. Improvement came from your third line defensively. Ian Engel and Landon Fleming, each with 4 combined points, 2 each in the first period. Landon with 2 assists, and Ian with his first career goal.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I thought there were bright spots in a dark game there. But again, I mean, you get opportunities, you got to make the most of them. And I think the opportunities have been probably, hard to come by on the back end. Landon obviously got hurt on Friday night, so we put Ian in. I thought he played very well, and now he makes our decision obviously tough. And I think that's what, to me, that's what we need. Guys that aren't in the lineup every night and on a regular basis to do is push the guys that are, in the lineup and really make our decisions hard. I thought Flem had a couple really nice plays, and I guess, what I would expect out of Landon playing, I think 54 games in the USHL last year. That's what, we would expect him to kind of see that progression to where he becomes one of the guys on the back end, and Ian's obviously a rookie. So, but again, you can look at certain players at different ways and how they're going to progress over the course of the season. But every kid's different, and both those guys, they had a good night.
How tough has it been, talking lineups, shuffling those lines and getting people in and out of a lineup when they're playing well on the bottom 6?
Well, I mean, I think that's the tough part of the conversation, because up front we don't have many forwards. So, that's where there's obviously, our line combinations. I feel like we haven't really found line combinations. I feel like we're good for maybe 2 games and then we're not. And, so there's more conversation up front that way. But on the back end, I mean, it's, we got a couple 05s, obviously, in Fandel and Shirey, and I think they're going to be really good hockey players. And then we have some, some veteran guys, and Newey and Rowley and Beeks, and, and then sprinkle in our new guys, obviously Bear and Engel and Mitch, and, just trying to, at the end of the day, trying to put the right guys in the right spot for them to have success, and obviously us to have success as a team.
It's a big game, big series for one player in particular. Going to North Iowa this week, and that's the former Bull, Hunter Garvey, who obviously wants to come back and get 2 wins in his former home rink. He played 40-some-odd starts last year, beat the Bobcats 3 times as a member of the North Iowa Bulls. Have you had that instance ever in your career, going back to a place you called home as a visitor?
Have I as a player?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that like for you, and what will that be like for him, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it's motivation, that's for sure. I mean, when you get traded, I think you probably don't realize it until you're an adult, but, there's always some sort of motivation there. If you want to call it, maybe internal anger or something like that. You feel like you were wronged. But at the end of the day, it's part of junior hockey, and um, you move on. And all I'll say is when you play them again, you make the most of it. And that's to me the motivation of the only way you can really get back at somebody if you per se call it that. Um, so I'm sure that's something Garves wants to do.
Where was that for you?
I went from Sioux Falls to Topeka, and then obviously with Topeka I played against Sioux Falls.
There you go. As far as Garvey's concerned, the fact he was dealt over the summer, wasn't even given an in-person goodbye per se, dealt over the summer, your coach calls you and that's it. Do you feel like that could lead to some more on his part, some motivation on his part?
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if he was, maybe he asked for a trade. I haven't even asked him that. I know he was obviously available, and they were, talks to put out on our trade wire that they were going to move him. But, I don't know. I don't ever really look into what other people are doing and how they do their business. And I haven't even talked to Hunter about it. I just wanted to get Hunter here and get him settled in and make sure he was in the right frame of mind to be in the net the next night. So, if there is motivation for him that way, hopefully it goes in the books for the good guys here. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if it, you can sit back and even look at the trades we've made and right time, wrong time. I think that's stuff that coaches that we always, I know, I keep analyzing as the year goes on and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of hard to sit here and look into a move that somebody else made when I don't know the details of everything as a whole.
I've heard he prepares uniquely too. He's very much a goalie.
He does. As long as he stops the puck, I don't care what he does. I was told that one time in my career, and I think it fits really good with goaltenders. You get focused. It's also ironic that I brought it up to the group before we traded for Hunter Garvey, and he definitely is unique in his ways in the locker room, but he is extremely focused. And hey, that's why I said everybody's different, but when that puck drops as a group with all 20 guys, we got to be ready to go.
All right, Layne Sedevie, thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
All right, Erik Atchison and Brandon Reller are the two players coming up on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Bobcats Coaches Show on Super Talk 1270. Erik Atchison joining us as we get to the Bobcats players on the show. How are you, Atch?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. It's your first time here on the Coaches Show.
Yep.
It took you long enough.
Yep.
Not your first time ever on camera, though.
No.
You're a pretty personable guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So you were in the WHL for 4 years with the Spokane Chiefs. You're here as a Bobcat. Not everyone's really heard your story as far as coming here is concerned, and we'll get to that. But I want to bring this up. This is not the first team you played for named the Bobcats, right?
No, actually no.
What was the other one?
The Arizona Bobcats.
How many years ago was that?
6, 7 years ago.
That was what, like AAA? That was 13,
Yeah.
14 years old for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Did, I guess, the Bobcats being the Bobcats kind of bring back memories of that old team?
Yeah, for sure. It was always a fun time being a Bobcat, and it's just funny that I get to come back to it.
So coming back to the Bobcats, Spokane put you on waivers at the beginning of this year. I'm sure Brandon Reller called you up immediately, your best friend and now roommate here. What was the process like getting back here?
It wasn't very hard, to be honest, in my mind. I texted him right when it happened, too, and I was like, hey, I'm probably going to see you pretty soon. So it was pretty easy to make my decision.
You just told him, I'm going to see you soon, not any context? That was it?
Not really. I literally texted him, was just like, hey, I'll see you soon. And he was just started freaking out. We just started figuring it out.
You had to have had some interest, though, from other teams and higher levels. This is a couple steps down from the WHL, but was it easy seeing Brandon on this team and this being the call?
Yeah, for sure. I talked to him a lot when he got here, too, last year. Obviously, we kept in touch and told me the guys were awesome and the coaching staff was really good, so it was pretty easy for me to make my decision.
What's your friendship like with him, who was your teammate for, 2-3 years?
Yeah, it's the best. It's just so fun all the time. Keep it pretty light, just like to be us pretty much.
Yeah, and when you guys are yourselves and watch your mic'd up video to see what some of that's like, it seems like you guys have your own just language. You guys talk to each other.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, if you know, you know. So.
Yeah, that's pretty succinct.
Yeah.
You guys lived together this year.
Yeah.
Did you live together in Spokane too?
No, but pretty much. He was always over all the time, or I was at his billet house. We're pretty much together 24/7.
Is he a good roommate?
Yeah, pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah. Having him on the ice together, you guys are line mates this year.
Yeah.
Having him on your line, he just came back from injury last week. You guys are pretty dynamic together.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's just that chemistry we have, it's pretty easy just to know where each other is on the ice, and yeah, it's easy to read off each other.
How do you read off each other? Do you just know each other's tendencies?
Yeah, pretty much. Just playing together for a while, it's like I know where he's going to be and he knows where I'm going to be also, so.
Do you feel like it was good to get back to that last week?
Oh, yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun to get back to that.
Well, congrats on your overtime winner.
Thank you.
It took you long enough. You'd been snake bitten for so long. You hit like 35 posts. You finally get back on the score sheet, get you in the win column. You kind of took it across the slot there, waiting for that lane to open up wide side, then tucked it over the goalie's pad.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought it went 5-hole. I didn't really even see it, but it went in, so that's all that matters.
What were you just trying for? Put the puck on net, and that was it?
Well, I was trying to put it on the other side than that, but I didn't know until I saw or heard the horn go off, so.
Really? You didn't see the referee point? You just heard the
horn
horn go
off? And then I just was like, I knew it was in there, so.
So the bench just explodes, obviously. Yeah. Everyone comes off the bench, floods you at center ice. The crowd's going nuts. What was that like, your first big moment here?
Oh, it was awesome. To be honest, after the horn went off and it went black, I blacked out. I had no idea until we were all back in the middle, but it was awesome just having everyone come up to me and stuff. It was nice to get some pressure off my shoulders.
So playing in major juniors in Spokane, were the crowds like what they are here?
I'd say for the smaller crowds, yeah, for sure. It's pretty loud. Our barn gets pumping here, so it's nice to have a nice atmosphere.
Would you have expected something in amateur juniors, the North American League, we've had 3 sellouts in 9 home games. That pretty much never happens anywhere else.
Yeah, it's awesome. I didn't expect it. I expected a little less, but it's been really nice.
So you're from Vegas.
Yeah.
Not exactly a hockey town up until the Golden Knights came in.
Yeah.
So when you're growing up, you either go to L.A., Anaheim, or Phoenix for a game. How'd you get into hockey?
Well, my dad was watching. He's a Penguins fan, so he was watching one day, and I just looked at the TV and told him I wanted to do that. So then he took me to the rink and started skating, and now I'm here.
So was hockey kind of a big deal in Vegas before the Knights came in?
It was slowly kind of getting a bigger deal, getting AAA teams and stuff. But when I started, it was very small, very small.
There was a minor league team, wasn't there, before the Knights came in?
Yeah, there was the Wranglers. They were in the ECHL.
Right.
And those games were always fun to go to because
Sure.
a couple coaches of mine played there and stuff, so it was cool.
But you had to go to Arizona to play AAA hockey, though. That's a pretty long ways away.
Yeah, it's like 5 hours. It's not bad, though.
5 hours every week, though, to play AAA hockey, or was that something where you lived there?
My first year I flew back and forth every weekend, and then I started living there the rest of the time.
Nice. Has the hockey scene kind of blown up now since the Golden Knights have come in and you've started your career too?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. There's so many kids on the ice now, and we used to just have like 3 or 4 kids out there in the morning for skates, and now the ice is all like divided up and stuff. So it's crazy.
Vegas is one of those cities where, you say you're from Vegas, you're like, really? People live in Vegas? But a lot of people do. I mean, is going to the Strip and stuff like that things that people from Vegas do, or is it just people from out of town?
Not as much. It's more of an out-of-town type of thing. Like, I only go down there, like, maybe once a summer or so, maybe. Otherwise, not really.
So what is there to do, aside from be like 120 degrees every day in the summer?
Well, obviously, swimming, hanging out. I mean, going to the rink so you can stay cold. There's a lot of things to do.
So you've been off to a pretty decent start, 2 goals so far.
Yeah.
How have you felt the way you've clicked with this team and this group of guys in the locker room?
Really good. It was so easy to come in here because I talked to a couple of them before last year, and I kind of met on like the phone and stuff with Rels or playing Xbox or whatever, but it was super easy to get to know the guys and just like be there. It was super easy.
What's it like being a part of this team with this coaching staff, this group of guys, and being able to play every day in a top 6 role?
It's super nice just to get that opportunity again to be playing like the top minutes and stuff, but obviously it's not just given. You got to work for it too, so it's nice. And everyone here works hard, so it's fun.
Do you think getting that goal finally, the monkey off your back of being able to score, can lead to a few more down the road now?
Oh, yeah, I hope so. That's for sure. I think it'll be good, though.
So what are your overall goals for this year? What do you hope to get out of it?
I mean, for me, I want to win this year. That's my goal. I mean, obviously the points and everything's nice, but it'd be nice to go out with a win for the career.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't mind it.
Nice
All right.
championship.
Yeah. So who do you think should get mic'd up next week? You have the call,
All right, mic'd up next week. Rels has already been mic'd up, hasn't he?
Yeah, he'll get it later this year.
Okay.
We'll do you both at the same time.
We should do a goalie this week.
All right.
I think it'd be interesting.
Well, if Garves has a good week in North Iowa, we'll mic him up.
Okay. I think a goalie would be a good one, so then we could shoot pucks at their heads,
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I heard Garves is just an insane, superstitious guy.
I mean, he's a goalie. I mean, it's kind of how it goes, but you don't mess with them. You just let them do their thing.
You don't, like, poke the bear or anything?
No, never.
No?
If they're in the zone, you let them stay in the zone. Don't mess with them.
There you go. All right, Erik Atchison, thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon Reller coming up on the Coach's Show on Super Talk 1270. All right, welcome back to the Bobcats Coaches Show on Super Talk 1270. Just heard from Erik Atchison. Here's his roommate, Brandon Reller, joining us. How are you, Rels?
I'm doing great. It's good to be on the Coaches Show.
You know, you told me when you hopped on, I missed the Coaches Show.
Yeah.
Not many people say that.
Coaches Show's awesome.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's really
agree.
cool that you guys do this. So.
Yeah, I agree. So you and Atch, when you were in Spokane, didn't have the Coaches Show.
We had similar things, but it wasn't Coaches Show like this. So.
Right. I feel like Atch did a pretty good job for his first time.
Oh, yeah. He does good.
Yeah, I know. So when he texted you in like September, whenever it was, saying, I'll be seeing you soon, what did you think?
I mean, I really didn't know what to think because at first I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you coming to say hi or what? But called him right away, and I was like, no way, man. It's going to be awesome. Like, dude, you got to come. It's going to be sweet. I was just really excited to get back and hanging out with them. Obviously, we're great friends, and definitely missed them. We were playing on the same team this year, and it's good to be back with them.
So a guy who gets put on waivers by a WHL team, an age-out kid, in his fourth year, had plenty of offers, I'm sure, from other teams.
Yeah.
But you did no recruiting to get him here. He called you and said, "I want to play for your team."
Yeah, it was kind of a mutual thing. I think we both knew that we wanted to play together, and I didn't think it needed much for him to want to come here. But I know he had a bunch of other options, and I was just like, dude, you know what it's going to be if you come here.
So what was the he talked about the friendship in Spokane and obviously
Yeah.
here. What is it like just, being you guys, two peas in a pod there?
It's almost hard to explain because I don't know. It's honestly crazy because of how like our friendship. We became friends playing hockey, and just to keep playing hockey and just being us every day is super fun, and no one I'd rather spend it with than this guy right here. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I feel like no one really gets in the way of you guys just being you guys. Like, they all just come to expect you guys being you
Yeah,
two.
yeah, and I think it rubs off on some of the other boys, and all the guys love it. So
Yeah. What's it like, you and Atch being two of those, good locker room guys?
I mean, I think it's good. It's something that I've always tried to do, even growing up too, is just being a good locker room guy. I think that comes a long way to the whole team's play on the ice.
So on Atch, tuck that overtime goal. You're on the ice. You got the first assist on it, although
Yeah.
he carried the puck up the entire way. When you see it go in, the red light goes on, horn goes blaring, the team pours off the bench. What are you thinking?
I mean, I was in shock at that point too. I think it was kind of the same way with him. We both kind of blacked out and we were like, holy smokes. But it was pretty cool to get in the car after and just sit down with him and be like, hey man, like that was pretty sweet, wasn't it? And yeah.
And that was your first game back, too. Missed a month or so due to an injury. You broke your wrist, but it's good now. You were practicing pretty much the entire time. Last year when you had that injury that kept you out for a lot longer, it took a while to get back into game shape, but you were good to go your first game back here.
Yeah, I think it was good because this time I stayed skating. I did as much as I can. Even if I wasn't doing everything, I was in the gym with the boys every day, and with my ankle injury, I mean, I wasn't walking for 5 months, so it was a little bit different on that standpoint. But I think yeah, we're ready to go. I'm back in Boston. Got my buddy with me, so.
And that game on Friday, I mean, that was probably your best game all year by a mile. At least that's what Layne said.
Yeah. I got a lot of good feedback from that game, and I just think, I was just playing my game, so there's a lot more where that came from.
Yeah, what are you trying to do different from this year, or this year compared to last?
This year, well, last year was a little bit different. Obviously, played 2 games, got injured, and coming back from an injury like that was pretty tough. And I think I prepared myself really well over the summer, and with the right training, right diet, and really was feeling good coming into this season. I feel well.
So you're not like 100% until after the season ended last year?
Yeah, no, I mean, I told everyone I was 100%, but
you were close.
I was close, definitely. But still, like, it was a tough injury, and it was a lot of just getting used to it. And I still into the summer, like a few weeks into the summer, still wasn't feeling it, and then it hit the point where I started feeling well, got back into the gym, skating all the time. Worked out well.
So having played in Spokane in the WHL in front of so many good hockey players, some good towns there like Everett and so on, and in the Dub, obviously Spokane too, where you played at home. What's it like coming here and having so many sellouts in the first half of the season and having a town behind you guys the way they are?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely awesome. I love Bismarck since the day I've been here. It's been great. The fans are awesome. They go nuts, pack the barn, make it super loud. It's a super fun place to play.
Could you have expected that coming to amateur juniors where you had not played before?
To be honest, I wasn't expecting much. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, I guess, but it's out of this world. I mean, it's perfect. It's been perfect the whole way
It's paid
through.
off pretty well, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want to take you back to your first ever game here where you scored on your first shift.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking, holy cow, what have we got here? I feel like we're finally getting back to that now.
Yeah, I mean, had a couple rough bumps in the road with a couple injuries, but yeah, I feel like I'm back to that point and ready to go.
What do you like most about being here?
What I like most? It's tough now because I got my best friend with me. That's probably the best part about it. But I just think, I mean, hockey. I've played on teams since I could barely remember, and just the whole coming together with a group of guys, one goal as a team. It's the best thing. It really makes the sport.
So how do we get back on track here? Take Saturday, flush it down the window, or down the toilet, put it out the window, and get to 4 wins in 5 here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's still early in the season. We can do a lot of things and get the guys closer to each other. I think that will help a bunch, and feel like just getting back to playing our good hockey. Like, we have our moments, and if we figure that out and we can just play like that all the time, I think we'll have a great team this year.
Yeah. How fired up is Garv from what you've heard and seen to go back to North Iowa?
Oh, he's pumped up, and he's a goalie. He's a focused guy, has his superstitions, and I know he's been this week he's been a lot more vocal than he usually has been, and that probably says something. He's pretty pumped up to play in North Iowa.
What's your routine if you have one?
My routine, I play football before every game. I get the hands warm up, hand-eye coordination, and that's pretty much it.
You go for the one-handed catches every single time, though, right? Not just playing pitch and catch. You're actually OBJing it up there.
Yeah. You gotta you gotta find some way to get some confidence. Get the feel good going. So I try to have a little style in it.
So watching Justin Jefferson do what he did, is that kind of like what you're trying to get to?
Yeah, I mean, maybe in a different life I was a football player, but yeah, I mean, talk about him. He's insane, and obviously I'm from Minnesota, so totally love the Vikings.
I mean, you're, 6'4", 210. Is that kind of in the ballpark? You could be a football player.
I could. I used to. It was one of my favorite things besides hockey was playing football, so I still try to throw the football around and watch football as much as I can.
All right, there you go. Brandon Reller, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. Hunter Laslo wraps up the coach's show in a moment on Super Talk 1270. Back to wrap it up on the Bobcats Coaches Show here on Super Talk 1270. Bobcats are not going to have a Coaches Show next week because they are playing next Wednesday, 7:15, a home game at the VFW versus Minot. That's the day before Thanksgiving. Coverage on Super Talk 1270 as always, and tickets are on sale at BismarckBobcats.com. Bobcats are on the road this week, their first trip to North Iowa. 7:10 games on Friday and Saturday with 7 o'clock radio coverage on Super Talk 1270 as well. Hunter Laslo wraps up the Coaches Show. How's it going?
Good, Corey. How are you?
Not too bad. It's been a tough week, to say the least, of practice and trying to learn from a weekend that started well but didn't end so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's never fun to obviously get a really good result on Friday night, and then you just have a different team show up on Saturday, and you get embarrassed in your own building in front of a sellout crowd. A lot of people there obviously supporting us, and it made the building exciting and loud, an environment that you want your guys to be able to play in and to get the result that we did. And for our fans was a little disappointing. So obviously had to have a strong week this week, a working week to obviously correct those things that went wrong on Saturday.
And correcting things such as what? Obviously end zone coverage collapsed a couple times. Hitting was certainly not a strong suit among a bunch of other things on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we just didn't have the same pace, the same jump. We lost pretty much every 50-50 battle. They beat us to pucks. They outworked us. They were harder on their sticks. We turned a lot of pucks over and gave them odd man rushes and just gave up way too many grade A's. I mean, other than that third goal, obviously, which was a tough one, though they were all grade A chances for the most part. So hard for your goaltender to continually to make those saves and keep you in. And I thought Garvey played really well other than that third goal, obviously from the corner that goes off his foot. But he made some big saves all game long to keep us in it where we weren't really playing in front of him. I mean, we left guys open right off face-offs. We got puck watching quite a bit, so just a game that not a whole lot went right.
Would you have expected this amount of work to need to be done with the roster you guys have, which is one of the best?
I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter to me what we have on paper or what any team has on paper. It's what your group does for 120 minutes on a weekend. Any team is beatable any weekend in our division, and that's proof from last year and this year as well. We showed up as a different team on Saturday. We didn't work, and we got the result we deserved with our effort. So that's really all I want to say about last weekend, but we're looking to obviously make adjustments that we needed to. Had a hard week of practice, obviously a shorter week with us hitting the road tomorrow, so obviously looking to go into North Iowa and get some much-needed points. Obviously have a good memory at the end of the year last year from being down there, so hopefully we get a complete effort for both games on the weekend.
Yeah, how hard can it be with last year, obviously, or last week and last Saturday, obviously, looming in people's heads? How do you get them to take that memory away and just move on from it?
Well, the thing is as soon as that buzzer ended on Saturday night, it's over and done with. We can't necessarily dwell on it. All we can do is obviously watch our mistakes on film and try to adjust those and fix them. That's the bottom line. We don't want to dwell on any losses or wins or be too high or too low. We got to keep our emotions level. You don't get anything for winning a game right now in game this early in the season. Every game is one you need points in. It doesn't matter what time of the year you're at, and we just can't afford to string together a bunch of losses. We need to string together wins, and if we do lose one, we need to be able to jump right back and get in the right column.
Well, Friday was really good, and many Bobcats showed out in that game. Layne Sedevie mentioned it multiple times here on the show and last week. It was the best effort since the 4-0 win in Minot, in his eyes. And 2 points certainly the Bobcats deserved. They got the overtime win. How good is it to see Erik Atchison finally break through and score that goal after hitting so many posts and being robbed so many times in weeks prior? Yeah,
really happy for him, obviously, and obviously being a big goal, game winner in overtime is an awesome one to be his first here in Bismarck. And, he's a guy that you know what you're getting from every night. He's an absolute workhorse and never quits. Is hard on pucks, is physical, plays the game the right way, and he had been around the net and had tons of chances, and just puck hadn't fallen for him. So really nice to see him get one, a really pretty goal too, in overtime. Gets to be a little patient, makes a nice skillful move to cut across the slot and shoots back across the green. A really nice one. Obviously not his first one in juniors, a veteran in junior hockey, but definitely a nice one for him. I'm sure he feels good, and a nice one for us as a coaching staff to see one breakthrough. So hopefully that opens up the door for him.
Your play styles obviously vary with all of your guys, but are you hoping Erik Atchison's play style just is contagious around the entire team?
Yeah, you hope that guys like Patrick Johnson and Adam Patilla and Atch and those kind of guys that just crank their legs every single night, you know what you're going to get from that. Those guys may have better games than others, but you know every night what you're going to get from them. They're going to work for you. They're not going to give up. They're not going to quit. They're going to be hard. Yeah, pucks may not lay flat on their sticks or they might make mistakes, but you know what you're going to get, and that's the kind of effort we need, which we saw on Friday night. We had a pretty complete game on Friday night. Even though it was close, we still had really good effort from all four of our lines and all of our D back there, and obviously our goaltending performance, but we need that consistency every night, and that's what I think we've struggled a little bit with here in the beginning of the year, is being consistent. We have a good effort and then take a night off or don't show up the next night or vice versa. So the key to it is having consistency, right? Doing the same thing each night and not getting too high, not getting too low, and realizing that every game that you're in, you got to have points in it.
Layne brought up the preparation of this team and how they go into a morning on a game night. How much does that matter in your eyes?
Yeah, I think it's big. Preparation is huge. Everyone has maybe their little superstitions or things they like to do. And honestly, I like this road trip here to North Iowa more than, say, a St. Cloud, even though it's closer, just because we get to travel up on the day before. Guys get to sleep in a bed, obviously wake up, have a breakfast, get to move all day, have basically their normal routine they would as if they're at home, obviously not in their billets or stuff like that, but get to have a normal routine with a full day leading up to the game, and I think that allows obviously guys to be more comfortable and whatnot. So yeah, regardless of that, I think that we've done a decent job this week of trying to correct the errors we made last Saturday and to get back on the horse, and as long as you prepare the correct way all week, you obviously hope that you get a good result on the weekend.
Does the memory of last year in North Iowa, having won 4 consecutive games there, mean anything for this year?
I don't think so. It's just a memory. It's just like anything we really did at the end last year, the second half last year. It's a memory. It doesn't affect anything on this year. It has no carryover. I think maybe the veteran group that was a part of it last year may have that memory or still has that memory, obviously, but we can't just expect that we're going to walk in there and do the same thing this weekend. North Iowa is a good team, and we need to obviously treat them the way they are, which is a good hockey team who's up in the standings. And right now we're at the bottom looking up at everybody. So everybody's a threat to us. We need to show up and give a consistent effort for 120 minutes and obviously not give up anything, right? We need points on every weekend, and that's the biggest thing. So we need to make sure that we show up and get our bus legs out of us on Friday and be ready to go.
How excited is Garves?
I think he's excited. I know when the trade went through for him, that was the first thing he asked Layne and I was, when do we play North Iowa? Obviously, hopefully we got everybody ready to go, and regardless of that, hopefully we play in front of whoever our goalie is in net this weekend and get a good result.
All right, last, thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
All right, that's all for the Bobcats Coaches Show this week. Again, no show next week because we have a game next Wednesday, the 23rd. That's the day before Thanksgiving at the VFW Sports Center. Bobcats are hosting Minot. It's a 7:15 puck drop, and coverage gets going at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 1270. Bobcats are on the road this week for 2 games in Mason City, Iowa. Bobcats and Bulls, Friday 7:10, Saturday 7:10, and both games will get on the air at 7 o'clock as the Bobcats go to North Iowa for the first time this year and look to make it 4 wins in 5 games overall, heading into a Thanksgiving home game, or day before home game against Minot. Bobcat Coaches Show is back every week except for the next at 5 o'clock on Wednesday from the Tap-In Tavern and right here on Super Talk 1270. So long for now. This has been the Bismarck Bobcats Coaches Show on Super Talk 1270.